Last week's topic was a little heavy and hard to talk about. So this week I thought I would talk about one specific aspect of my homecoming that I know I'll run into, because every opportunity I've had to come home in the last 4 years, I've run into this, and it's what I like to call the stare. The stare is a specific facial expression that returning missionaries give, especially when they're tasked with making a decision. Keep in mind, the stare is impossible to produce on demand, but I would imagine it looks something like this. If you see the stare, it means I need your help. It means my brain is completely overwhelmed and it cannot move forward. Let me try to give you an example to explain. Stephanie, where would you like to go for lunch? You may ask me after church, and under normal circumstances, that's a total, not out of the ordinary question. But for a returning missionary, our minds do something like this.
What places are nearby? Is that one place still open? What food is on the menu? And which item would I want? There are so many items on that menu. Oh, I love their salad. But what if they don't offer it anymore? Then I would have to take time and choose something else. And while I'm looking at the overwhelming number of options on the menu, they're going to be asking me questions about my time overseas. And I want to answer their questions, but I can't look at the menu at the same time because it's been so long since I've had this kind of menu with these kinds of foods. I can't remember exactly if them inviting me means they'll pay or if I'm paying. Because if they're paying, I don't want to order anything expensive, but if they're not paying, I can afford even less. How many people are they inviting? Because if it's just them, I need to provide deeper conversation so that they really understand what my time overseas was like. But if it's a big group, then I should stick with more interesting stories that appeal to a larger group. How much do they want to hear about my time overseas versus just wanting to be with me anyway? How will I tell the difference? How long have I been thinking about this? What's the original question? Oh, where to eat.
And in that moment, when my mind is racing out of control and all I can do is the stare, I need you to touch my shoulder nicely and tell me that you will make the decision for me. That's just one example, but the stare can happen in almost any situation. I remember a few years ago when I walked into an unfamiliar church, and the instant processing my mind went into was unimaginable. Everything from the wealth and size of the American church to where to sit, how to sing, the clothes I was wearing, and every other detail was flying through my mind, and I'm sure I had the stare on my face. The stare will most certainly happen when I'm trying to buy a new shirt, or pick out shampoo or deodorant. Do you realize how automatic those purchases are to our brain? You've memorized the size, shape, and color of all of those containers. But when I get back, all of those containers would have changed, and that's really hard for my mind to process. Returning missionaries are notorious for bursting into tears in the cereal aisle and the cosmetics department. We're just overwhelmed. The number one most practical thing you can do for me when you see the stare is offer to make the decision for me. Even if it seems simple or trivial to you, it may make a world of difference to me.